The 12 Dancing Princesses.
There formerly lived a wise but worried king in a wide and prosperous area. His castle stood upon a high hill of white gravelstone with banners fluttering in the clean mountain wind. Though he ruled justly and was respected by his people, the king had one patient solicitude that cast a shadow over his else peaceful days: the riddle of his 12 daughters, the 12 goddesses of the realm. They were each lovely, graceful, and kind by their own way. The eldest, Princess Adelheid, was steady and thoughtful, with a position aspect that could quiet a room. The youthful, Princess Lynette, was bright-eyed and full of wonder, quick to horse laugh and ever curious about the world. Between them were 10 further sisters, gentle, fierce, scholarly, mischievous, each a treasure to the king. Yet for all their merits, they carried a secret they would not partake, no matter how important the king questioned or contended. For every morning, without fail, their silken dancing shoes were set up hugely ruined. Heels worn thin, toes scuffed through, lists rasped. Each son had a devoted lady in staying, and each night the king himself locked their bedchamber with a heavy iron key. Still, by dawn, 12 dyads of shoes lay in tatters at the bottom of each bed. At first, the king allowed it a knavery, though he suspected magic, though he began to sweat some oddity worse, some enchantment that might one day steal his daughters down. And so he placarded throughout the land a communication from the king: "Whosoever can discover where my daughters go at night and how their shoes are worn thin shall have one of them for a bridegroom and inherit my area. But if after 3 nights he fails to uncover the verity, he shall lose his life." Numerous titans came bold and confident. Numerous swore they would break the mystery fluently, but every one of them failed. For each night the goddesses offered the bystander a mug of wine, and each night, without exception, the youthful man drank, fell into a deep and tranced sleep, and woke to find 12 dyads of shoes ruined and his doom awaiting him. Soon fear spread among near fiefdoms. No Napoleon dared come, no gentleman donated. The castle grew heavy with silence, and the king's hopscotch downscaled. Far down, a dogface named Henry had just been nobly discharged from service. He was known for frippery, wit, and a heart that sought fairness above all additional. With a small coin bag, a sturdy walking stick, and little further than the clothes on his reverse, he set out to find new fortune. Though he'd no noble blood, he carried himself with quiet confidence. Yet indeed he'd heard whispers of the king's decree and the unsolved riddle of the ruined shoes. One crisp morning he came upon a crooked old woman standing by the roadside. "Good day, youthful man. Where is it you travel?" "To the king's court. He seeks one who can uncover the whereabouts of his daughters. Maybe I might succeed where titans have failed." "Numerous better equipped than you have lost their lives, Dogface." "Better equipped, maybe, but not necessarily wiser." She reached into her cloak and withdrew a piece of white fabric that lustered strangely in the morning sun. "This is a cloak of invisibility. Don't drink the wine they give you. It's enchanted to shoot you into a deep, dreamless sleep." "Thank you so much, wise mama. You may well have saved my life." "Oh, I've done no similar thing. What you do with these gifts will decide that." She halted down, leaving him alone on the road, full of resoluteness. When the dogface arrived at the castle, fine from travel, the guards laughed at the idea of a common man tackling the riddle. But the king, desperate for hopscotch, admitted him nevertheless. "You're no Napoleon, true, but I'm determined, and determination isn't bound to royal blood." "Very well. 3 nights you shall have. Fail, and you know the cost." The goddesses were summoned to hail him. Aldehyde, the eldest, stepped forward with poise. "We drink you to our home. May your stay be peaceful and peace." The dogface only bowed in return. The dogface's chamber was arranged beside the queen's own. From his bed he could hear whispers and soft horse laugh through the wall. As evening approached, the goddesses visited him again, bringing a mug of dark wine. He accepted the tableware, brought it to his lips, but cleverly allowed the wine to slip into a retired pocket in his sleeve. Then he lay back, closed his eyes, and breathed deeply, imitating sleep. For a long time the room was still. Then rustle, rustle. Movement stirred on the far side of the wall. Is he asleep? He drank the wine. Of course he did. They always do. Come, sisters, it's night. He rose quietly and crept to the doorway, throwing the invisibility cloak over his shoulders just as he heard 3 gentle knocks on the floor. With a soft grumble, the walls shifted. A hidden trapdoor opened, revealing a staircase that wound into the earth. He followed, invisible and silent. The staircase emptied into a vast grotto lit by glowing chargers above. Before them stretched a forest of trees whose leaves shone like liquid moonlight, a forest of silver. The sisters sighed vocally as they stepped outside. It's as beautiful as ever. The dogface, wanting substantiation, snapped off a small branch. Crack! The sound echoed. What? What was that? Only the wind. Let us hurry. But she looked over her shoulder once more, as though sensing some oddity miss. Beyond the silver forest lay another, more radiant still, a copse of gold, where the branches shone like molten sun. The air was warmer then, fragrant with an unknown incense. Be careful! Henry broke off a golden branch, tucked it beneath the cloak. This copse seemed to hum noiselessly beneath his feet, as though magic itself pulsated in the roots. The final copse sparkled so brilliantly that the dogface had to shield his eyes. Diamond leaves hung from every branch, catching the light and scattering it into 1,000 sparkling prisms. It feels like touching starlight. Again, the dogface took a piece, small but unmistakable. The crinkle of snapping crystal made several sisters jump. That wasn't the wind. Some oddity is strange tonight, but we can't turn back now. Beyond the diamond forest lay a vast underground lake. Hundreds of lanterns floated upon its face, casting sparkling reflections across the water. At the shore awaited 12 boats, each rowed by a handsome prince dressed in garments of deep shimmering blue. Good evening, fair goddesses. Good evening. Each family stepped into a boat, and Henry slipped into Adelheide's. The prince frowned. Your boat feels heavier tonight, my lady. You're tired, Rowan. Henry held his breath as they crossed the lake, lanterns drifting past, the water whooshing beneath the oars. The palace on the far shore glittered brighter than any castle above ground. Its halls were formed of silver, gold, and crystal. Its windows shone like the eyes of 1,000 stars. Outside, music echoed through a grand hall played by unseen musicians. The goddesses joined hands with their awaiting princes and danced gracefully and tirelessly until their shoes began to fray. Adelheid danced with soberness, as though impelled by some oddity deeper than joy. Henry watched each, collecting a golden couplet from the feast table for proof. Just before dawn, the music ceased. The princes bowed their farewells. The goddesses hastened back, their shoes tattered and their faces flushed. Once more the boats carried them across the lake. Once more they passed through the groves. Once more they climbed the secret stairs. Henry raced ahead to lie upon his bed just before the eldest queen peeked into his room. He sleeps as deeply as any of the others did. The second night played out much the same. Again the goddesses offered wine. Again the dogface pretended to drink. Again he followed them through the groves and across the lake. This time he listened carefully to their hushed exchanges. Do you ever tire of this enchantment? Hush, we mustn't speak of it. By the third night, the sisters were visibly uneasy. Some oddity follows us. Nothing is there, sister, you fret too much. But Adelheide's instincts, though correct, were baffled by the invisibility cloak. Again, the goddesses danced until their shoes were destroyed. Again, Henry gathered evidence, and at dawn the sisters crept to their beds, unaware their secret had run its course. The coming morning, the king summoned the Dogface. "Your 3 nights are complete. Have you discovered the truth, or must I carry out the penalty?" "I have discovered everything, your highness, and I come bearing evidence." A ripple of shock passed through the court. The 12 goddesses, dressed beautifully but standing stiffly, gasped at his words. "It's over then." He placed upon the table the silver branch, the golden branch, the diamond branch.
Gasps filled the throne room. He also described in pictorial detail the groves of precious trees, the lake of lanterns, the boats with their mysterious tycoons, and the magnificent underground palace alive with music. "Is this true?" "Yes, father, we were bound by an enchantment laid long agone. Each night we were impelled to return to that underground area and cotillion. We could tell no bone, nor could we repel." "Bound by by whom?" "By a curse placed upon our mamma's birth long before we were born. It commanded that 12 daughters must dance for 12 tycoons of the demi-world until the enchantment was broken by one who followed without sleeping." "My daughters, why did you not come to me?" "We couldn't speak of it. The enchantment prescribed us." The moment the verity was revealed, the magic broke. Far beneath the castle, the underground tycoons and their spangling palace dissolved into mist, no way to appear again. The king approached the Dogface with gratefulness. "You have freed my daughters. You have kept your courage where numerous others fell. You shall have your prize. Choose whichever of my daughters you wish for your bridegroom." "Your Majesty, I choose Princess Adelheid." A soft shriek rose from the court. Some anticipated him to choose the youthful or the most sportful. But the Dogface had seen Adelheide's strength, her leadership, the burden she bore as the eldest. "I would be recognized. You broke the enchantment that chained us. I owe you not sweat or obedience, but gratefulness and respect. So it shall be." Their marriage took place soon after, celebrated with feasts that lasted for days. "I promise to be your loyal companion, and I promise to be your constant love.